This is Norman the Nord. Norman the Nord has no knees but nevertheless endeavors to be named Nightingale of Nocturnal. And also Grandmaster of the Thieves Guild, but that doesn't alliterate. So the goal is to become the head of the Thieves Guild in Riften without using any of the Thiefstone skills or gaining any experience in them. And I am considering archery a Thiefstone skill regardless of what Arthamore's patch says to the opposite. So that means no archery, pickpocket, sneak, lockpicking, alchemy, light armor, or speech. That last one is a real Dickens, let me tell you. Ah, my knees! Nords start with a +5 to speech and light armor, so those will start at level 20. The rest will need to stay at 15, and I'm going to do my best to not even get any progress on these bars. Harder than it initially sounds. Immediately we rub up against the challenge. Helgen only has light armor available, so we're going to have to run the whole thing Starkers. I bind Sneak to the opposite side of the keyboard. For some reason, the escape key is a perfectly valid keybind, and if there's a way to unbind a function, I don't know what it is. Also, Alt is the default sprint button in this game. Disgusting. I'm not running any mods, and I'm using the Anniversary Edition, which I've never actually played before. I've routed this run in Classic. I hope that doesn't bite me in the ass. Naturally, we take the Warrior Standing Stone, clear out Ember Shard Mine, get a Ring of Minor Destruction, and then pillage everything within reason from Hadvar's cousin.
Take what you need, my friend.
I'm scraping the bottoms of every barrel for potatoes, cabbages, leeks, and tomatoes. I'm sure you know why.
Down the road.
Salt piles, also pretty helpful. Forage and refine a few pieces of gear, and then we go across the street to pick up the quest to run Bleak Falls Barrow. This is useful for a few reasons. I'll need to do this anyway if I want to use a dragon shout at some point, but more importantly, I cannot buy or sell anything in this run, so all of my gold has to be looted or come from quest rewards. Purchases and sales both contribute to speech experience. Why would I need money if I can't use vendors? Well, in one of Skyrim's numerous similarities to Morrowind, we need money for regional transit. The Thieves Guild quests have you run all over the place, and I need to skip all that walking around by paying for carriage rides. It takes a few hundred gold, and Bleak Falls pays out 400 gold while also netting us a key item for the main quest if we end up needing it. It's kinda depressing, but the most efficient way to travel in this game is to sprint your stamina dry and then wait 1 hour. This means that you technically take like 4 hours to get from the gate of Whiterun to the Cloud District, but it's the fastest from my perspective, and that's what counts. This is a skill book. In testing, I instinctively picked it up and gained a pickpocket level. Let's try to avoid that. There's a guaranteed scroll of Firebolt here. Remember this, it will be important later. As a Nord, you might assume I'd go for a two-handed build. Not really. The Thieves Guild questline hands us some immaculately powerful one-handed weapons, and I would be a fool to not use them. And yes, I literally did only choose Nord for the tagline in the intro. Also, ice damage is a little overrepresented in this game. I can virtually guarantee you already know this, but vegetable soup provides constant stamina recovery. It prevents your stamina from ever actually reaching 0, which means you can perform perpetual power attacks and shield bashes. Exploit or game mechanic, you decide. When it comes to things I actually need to pick up, it's fairly limited. I can't sell anything, so I'm just going to leave behind enchanted light armor. I will pick up soul gems and potions. I have a use in mind for soul gems. With a few hundred in our pocket, we can rest assured that the wagon fare will be paid up and it's off to Whiterun. Great job, everybody. Oh, you're... Another upside of waiting 1 hour to recoup stamina is damn near constant autosaves. The Pelagia Farms has a source of leeks, potatoes, and cabbages. Tomatoes need to come from barrels. Gotta be careful walking into Whiterun. I'm pretty sure this Persuade prompt is unfailable and would give us a full level of experience. Thankfully, the main quest dialogue option opens the gate for us instead.
You'll find the Jarl in Dragon's Reach. Halt. City's closed with the dragons about. sword coming from the south. It was fast. Faster than anything I've ever seen.
Father says I'm too young to
Shut up, you little squirt.
Hey, watch it.
Whoops, got here first. The fight with Murmulnir is actually kinda ass if you're not allowed to use bows and only have a flames spell. Another limitation of this is that I have to be very conservative with my health potions, as I will never be able to buy any. I am going to be perpetually undergeared and unable to chug-jug. Not to mention that if I want to improve my gear and level up smithing, I'll have to mine all the ore and hunt all the leather by hand. It really turns Skyrim on its head. It adds this sort of edge to Skyrim's combat that I think is referred to as difficulty. With Foos unlocked and Lydia sworn to carry my burdens, I can finally go about the main thrust of the run. First order of business is to unlock the fast travel points. Getting into Riften is harder than you'd think. All three of these options grant speech experience. Yes, even the bribe option. Bribes in this game give speech XP. It was part of my millionaire speedrun of the game. Bribery is actually almost always an optional use of your time. So how do we get in? Well, the side gate is locked down too, but the dock's entrance to the Blackbriar Meadery is open, and the building has a street-level entrance on the inside. I'm a fresh face, and was literally born yesterday, so I'm immediately spotted by a member of the Thieves Guild to participate in illicit activities. A chance arrangement wants you to pick 2 locks and then reverse pickpocket a ring into a Dunmer's pants. I'm not allowed to do any of that, but thankfully, you don't actually need to do anything. Start the quest and just leave. When you come back, he'll be disappointed, but he'll let you into the guild anyway. This kinda makes sense since reverse pickpocketing is a raw dice roll, and at this point in the game, you probably have absolutely no proficiency in it. The Thieves Guild has been down on its luck lately, so we were honestly expected to fail, and they are kinda hurting for help and can't afford to be choosy. Next stop is to get the Tower Standing Stone, a few hours walk west of Winterhold. I routed this run because I'd never actually done the Thieves Guild quest in the game before and wanted to see what it was like. I gotta say, it's pretty good, but starts out kinda rough. I don't think it holds up to the Thieves Guild in Oblivion, but that's not going to be a fair comparison for anything. If Oblivion did one thing right, it was the guild quests. What the hell is that? Okay then. Hellhounds were added in the Dawnguard DLC. No wonder they didn't show up during routing. Gonna level with you. Played my 200 odd hours of Skyrim back in 2011 and barely touched it since. Screwed around in Skyrim VR for a few months in 2021, but this is mostly my first time interacting with the DLC packs. Due to a vendor error, Steam actually installed the Dawnguard DLC to my computer without me purchasing it, which was funny, but by that point, I'd never really touched it. Open expert lock once per day. No minigame, no lockpicking experience. Master locks are very rare. This standing stone power allows me to get into places I otherwise wouldn't, just so long as I am able to use the wait function. The next part of our initiation is to find the Ragged Flagon, a completely legitimate bar and inn that just so happens to exist behind multiple locked doors in the sewers where absolutely no one would ever go. I have absolutely no idea why they bother hiding the guild behind a cabinet when they are already this far out of the way. The Ratway is a rat's maze, but we can take a shortcut with the Tower Standing Stone. Our next job is to extract protection money from the local vendors. The guild is actually so down and out that everyone has just stopped paying. Taking care of business has us head up ground level and shake down 3 shopkeepers. These all have speech options, but really it just boils down to beat the crap out of 2 of them, and the 3rd will bend the knee. Functionally, this quest establishes the guild's influence over the Rift, which is a thing I will eventually need to do for all 5 holds. Damn, Argonians have hands. At least I don't have to brawl any Khajiit. The next mission is a bit of intrigue. Someone is muscled in on the guild's honey racket, and we need to put a stop to that. Loud and Clear has us infiltrating the Golden Glow estate, and you realistically have 2 options. Loud and Dumb, or Slow and Quiet. Guess which one I'll be taking. The defensive wall has this nice swoop on the rock formation, so you can jump up onto it, kinda defeating the point. It's at this precise moment, as I'm trying to spread flames around 5 different guys at once, that I realize I forgot to let Lydia catch up to me. Absolute cinema. Oh, crap. Dragon giveth, dragon taketh away. The front door is being barred by a pair of perfectly identical twins, and the dragon's back. There's a couple of locks we need to crack, and normally you cannot use the wait function while trespassing. Thankfully, this estate is considered a dungeon and not private property, otherwise I'd be cooked. The safe I'm supposed to clear out is expert locked, but that's no problem. We don't just find money in the safe though, we also find a bill of sale. Golden Glow Estate was sold to an unknown third party with explicit orders to stop all dealings with the Thieves Guild. Now that I've beaten a bunch of people up and then murdered my way through a mercenary warband, I'm inducted into the Thieves Guild as a proper member. The next job is to meet up with Maven Blackbriar and discuss some counter-sabotage. In order to get our mead business back in the black, we need to take out the competition. Thankfully, the Hunting Brew Meadery is already having a pretty substantial skeever infestation, and is willing to hire literally anyone in off the streets to deal with it. Dampened Spirits is basically just a raw dungeon run with an optional speech check at the beginning for some extra cash. Then you plant the poison in the vat and sit through a 5-minute wine tasting. After drinking literal poison, Commander Caius arrests the manager and hands the entire company over to the janitor. Because that's how that works. Only thing left to do now is to check the books for more evidence of malfeasance. We get some soft proof that Golden Glow and Hunting Brew are connected by nebulous forces, but not much else. This Hunting Brew decanter is a unique treasure that you can hand in to Delvin for extra cash. I believe every Thieves Guild mission has at least one of these, and while they are genuinely an excellent way to get gold without also getting speech experience, I am kinda beyond the point where gold has literally any use to me, so I won't bother getting all of them. I scrounged through the guild chests for a few brief invisibility potions. I have a use in mind for some of them later. Some detective work into the bill of sale from Golden Glow points us to an Argonian named Gulam I, a contact with the East Empire Shipping Company. And by detective work, I mean that he literally just read the bill of sale. The bill of sale says Gulam I, but Mercer read it as Gajul, and it took a few days for his spy network to pluck up the courage to tell him he's dyslexic. Scoundrel's Folly is pretty rough. Gulam slaps me with this list of dialogue choices: persuasion, bribery, or intimidation. All 3 of these options would normally give speech XP, but this bribery prompt isn't normal. Any other bribery check in the game is just handing over money in exchange for goods and services, but this one is just leading to an extra quest objective. I have to steal some Firebrand wine from the Blue Palace. Sounds tricky? Nah, it's entirely unsupervised. Of course, my reward is to get lied to and then told to go away. And oh boy, a tailing mission. You don't need to be too stealthy to avoid being detected. You just need to stay away from him long enough for him to shimmy his tail on down to the East Empire Trading Company. The warehouse is very clearly designed with stealth in mind. You get these ramps to the upper shelves to stay out of sight. There are side paths, although one of them involves fighting spiders rather than people, which is a net loss if you ask me. Thankfully, we can just kill everyone. Got some iron boots of hauling. These are basically never coming off. Weird little detail. They're swabbing the decks of the ships with troll fat. Fat is a primary ingredient in soap. We've all watched Fight Club, but troll fat seems a little too pricey to me. It cannot be easy to get. Trolls are really damn tough to kill. Since trolls in fiction usually regenerate from any injury, this opens up the disturbing mental image of a troll fat farm where flesh is sliced off of captive trolls at regular intervals. Horrifying. Or maybe they just didn't think about it too hard. The unique treasure for this mission is a shipping map for the East Empire Company. It is at this point that I remember that hotkeys exist. You have to have items favorited, but then from the favorites menu you can set them as hotkeys. Unfortunately, this system really doesn't like equipping spells to anything but the left or both hands, So, while I'd love to spray people with fire while holding my shield up, that's not actually achievable with vanilla hotkeys. There's some real clunk here. With his back to the wall, Guillaume immediately sells out his superior, a woman named Carlia. Guillaume says that we should seek her out where the end began. Mercer recognizes this as a ruin called Snowvale Sanctum. It's a burial cavern. It's always a burial cavern. So we're heading due north of Windhelm. It's quite the walk, long enough that some hired thugs finally catch up with me. I'm a little undergeared due to not being able to use vendors. I think I also forgot to ever spend perk points. My bad. When you're sucking down about 5 megabytes of disk space a second, you don't tend to stop and think that often. So the combat is starting to get ahead of me. Hired thugs have always felt a little overtuned though, in my opinion. Across the river I get attacked by another one of those hellhounds, and then an honest to Akatosh vampire. Just out in the open, vibing. Thanks, Dawnguard. Everybody needed this. Vampire armor is light armor, so I can't even use it. Mercer gives us some mixed signals about who should take the lead, and then the door inside is impossible to pick. Thankfully, Mercer can forget how stairs work. After some light bullying, he picks the unpickable lock with the sheer force of his smug braggadocio. This is literally just a dungeon. Lydia refuses to step inside, but Mercer has a dwarven short sword with absorb health on strike and is an unstoppable killing machine. I'll just ignore that. I find some mage's robes of restoration here. I've been leaning mostly on the flames spell so far, and I'm pretty squishy besides, so I put them on. Just a bit further in, we hit a dragon claw door. I feel like it should be pretty obvious that you can't pick these, and if that doesn't tip you off to the fact that he's just straight up lying, the next 5 minutes will beat you over the head with it. We get flashbanged by Colonel Autumn and brought to Ravenrock, at which point Carlia reveals herself, and she and Mercer have a little spat before Carlia drinks an invisibility potion and Mercer kills us. Why? I don't know. This conversation hasn't really incriminated him in a lasting way. Like, we know that he's killed a former compatriot, but he could have had a good reason for it. I guess he just thinks that we're getting too close and too high up, and are becoming a threat to him. Anyway, he miraculously misses our heart despite us being paralyzed, and the poison slowed our heart enough that we didn't bleed to death. Carlia shot us with a paralyzing arrow in order to get us out of the way while she... Oh, hey, Lydia. Anyway, Mercer Frey bad. We can't go back to the Thieves Guild at this point, and our only choice is to try and expose Mercer to the rest of the guild. Thankfully, Carlia has proof. Unthankfully, it's encoded in ancient Felmer language. We need to see an old friend of Gallus, the man that Mercer murdered, to see about translating it. Enther says that he doesn't have the requisite reference material, but that Calcelmo in Markarth might have what we're looking for. Calcelmo gives us the usual persuade, bribe, and intimidate options. Without the ability to use any of these options, it's completely impossible to get into his laboratory. There's just nothing I can do. Our path ends here. How tragic. I jest, of course. The door to the museum isn't even really guarded. The antechamber to the museum has 2 guards, and in routing this run, I wasn't able to get past them without getting a small trespassing bounty. But this time, I planned ahead. Brief invisibility potions. I don't need to get far, just 20 meters to the other end of the room.
There must be a dozen men of you have committed crimes against Skyrim and your
What? Okay, let's try that again. Game of the generation. This dungeon is actually pretty incredible, I gotta say. It must be much better when you're actually sneaking through it. There are traps everywhere that you can trigger on the guards. But why bother with that when there's a staff that controls a Dwemer murder spider? Between Lydia and Sparky over here, I basically don't have to do anything. Oh hey, the Chomar Vimidium. What, no heavy armor level? Ah, there we are, the Dwemer Puzzle Cube. Back at the Balmora Fighters Guild, Hasfat Antibolus gives us some notes on the Sixth House cult, a lost faction of Morrowind's history. But its leaders remain alive, sustained by... Wait. Why is this copy of the Chomar Vimidium worth more? Huh. Okay. By taking some parchment and a bit of charcoal, we can take a relief copy of the Calcelmo stone for Enther. And after dealing with the flock of guards that are spawned in the instant we touch it, we escape through the perfectly safe waterfall diving spot. With relief in hand, and totally not ruined by that dunk into the waterfall, we can... Oh, swit. Okay. Where's a temple? Whiterun is closer than Winterhold, right? Maybe I can make it to the temple there. Enoi! Deep breaths. I'm still wanted by the guards in Markhearth, but it's a really low bounty. They won't come after me unless I talk to them directly. I don't have any cure disease potions. UESP says that the Temple of Dibella is in the cleft in the middle of town. Chipmunks, save me.
Sisters are communing with Dibella. They can't be disturbed.
Oh. With the rubbing in hand, Enther decodes the journal and brings to light suspicions that Mercer has been pocketing the guild's coffers for personal pleasures. Shy of a season's pass to a Khajiit cat house, I honestly don't know what he could have been spending it on in this backwater. But that's not all. Gallus' journal also reveals that Mercer desecrated the Twilight Sepulchre. Man, Carlia. Maybe it's just your voice, but you are... Whew. Are you busy later? Ah, damn it. She's not marriageable. I think it's the purple eyes. Dunmer almost always have blood-red eyes, like they nurse their children on Sujama. Carlia explains that the Twilight Sepulchre is the Temple of Nocturnal, and that Mercer has broken his oath to the Daedric Prince, which is bad news all around. She hands us a Blade of the Nightingale, a unique ebony short sword with a drain health and stamina on strike effect. Absolutely incredible. This is one of two reasons why we focused on one-handed. Back at the Thieves Guild, we sit down through a 5-minute stage play where Brynjolf reads about 8 pages in 2 seconds. Jealous. And then we discover that Mercer has in fact rugged the guild and is the source of the guild's endless FUD. If we're ever going to hodl with Diamond Hands again, we'll need to give Mercer the short squeeze and take this to the moons. The pursuit has us breaking into Mercer Frey's house. He doesn't actually live here, which is as convenient as it is confusing. But importantly, both street-level doors are barred shut. There's a locked door on the balcony, and the guard has the key.
This is Mercer Frey's place. No visitors, no way. Now piss off before you make me mad.
No one saw that. Now, the real challenge is getting through this mechanism. You need to shoot the gears here to lower the stairs up the balcony. But I can't use archery. You can also use spells, but I only know flames and heal. I can't buy spell tomes. That would give us speech experience. And I don't have any on-target damaging staves. So what do? If you go to the College of Winterholm, you can take an entrance exam. The spell she needs you to cast is random, but Firebolt is one of them. And if you don't know the spell, she'll sell you the tome for 30 gold. It's not an actual purchase, so it doesn't grant speech experience. But you gotta save scum the result until you get the right outcome. This is what I did in routing. Then I remembered, I'm an idiot. We've got a Scroll of Firebolt, remember? Of course you do. I did a funny accent. How the hell do you even use scrolls in Skyrim? I've never done it.
Boost!
Or you can do that, that works too. Mercer's secret Jork closet is covered in traps. Hazards, snares, booby traps. There's a copy of the Lusty Argonian Maid in here too, so yes, it is a Jork closet. Guess I know what that luxurious lifestyle was about. He also has a 1-to-1 scale anime Figma of the Grey Fox. I'm told foxes are popular to the point of mundanity in those circles. Also, in this display case, he has Chillrend, a glass short sword with a frost enchantment that also sometimes causes paralysis. Among the best weapons in the game. Unfortunately, I forgot to recharge my Tower Standing Stone, and this place is considered trespassing. So I gotta go all the way back out, and then all the way back in. Oh, also unrelated, but he had plans on his desk to steal the Eyes of the Falmer. It's a bit crusty on the corner, though. Before we can take the fight to Mercer, though, Carlia has an idea. We meet her out behind town by an old standing stone, and she takes us into Nightingale Hall. By interacting with the shrines to Nightingale, we are given a full set of Nightingale armor. Absolutely incredible armor for sneaking, but I'm not allowed to use it. Well, I have to use it. Kinda. I have to put on the armor for the quest to progress, but the quest flag is triggered while I'm still paused in the menu. There are no active frames of calculation of in-game time when I am actually benefiting from its effects, and I don't gain light armor experience, so I'm considering this a win. Becoming a Nightingale means that we owe our immortal soul to Nocturnal after we die, which for many players would be interesting, as they'd already be locked into an afterlife in Hircine's eternal hunting grounds, but hey, it'll happen off-screen, so we don't have to worry about it.
I call upon you, Lady Nocturnal, Queen of Murk, and Empress of Shadow. Hear my voice.
Ah, Carlia. I was wondering when I'd hear from you again. Lose something, did we?
Lydia definitely does not know how to read the room. With our souls pledged, Carlia is free to reveal that Mercer Frey has damned the Thieves Guild by stealing the skeleton key from the Twilight Sepulchre. By stealing it from Nocturnal, her influence has been robbed from the lands, and the Thieves Guild are basically completely without the luck and pluck they have so long relied upon. We need to get it back from Mercer and return it to its rightful place, something that legitimately very few players do because it's a Daedric artifact that lets you open every pickable lock without ever breaking a lockpick. As an aside, Brynjolf says that he's going to make us Guildmaster. No real reason, somebody's got to do it. The eyes of the Falmer are entombed deep within the depths of Erkenthand. No, not Arkenthand. Erkenthand, it's different. Lydia can't enter this place, and the others are deeper in, so I have to manage the first few rooms all on my own. This entire run is a bunch of stealth dungeons. The enemies are tuned insanely high, because you're not actually supposed to fight them. The dwarven spheres in this first few corridors are crazy strong, and it takes me a few minutes to lame out just one of them. Of course, the next room there's more than one of them. Thankfully, we can use the Spring Heel Jack secret technique. Running past everything. From here on, it's all Falmer and environmental storytelling. Mercer has left behind some beer, a weak trail of dropped coins, there's enemies he's killed and chests that he's looted. Falmer are blind, and the boots you're meant to be wearing here muffle your footsteps. So you're not supposed to brute force your way through here. But I guess I have to. Who would win in a fight against literally one cursed blind Falmer and two fully suited, highly trained, oath-sworn Nightingales of the Daedric Prince Nocturnal? That's right, the Falmer, every time. So the dungeon crawl is a lot of running forward, getting some hits in, falling back, laming it out, letting the others stand up for a scant few seconds before getting knocked down, kiting enemies back and forth until they die, and then moving on. There is some mischief you can get up to, though. This Centurion can be triggered, and he'll fight everything, thinning the crowd out a bit. Dwemer constructs sometimes drop filled soul gems, and I can feed them to my Nightingale blade, which is why I've been bothering to pick them up so far. I've got like 8 petty soul gems. It's just about enough. Now, I get that I'm wearing mage's robes right now, so my armor ain't the best, but check out the health damage these guys are actually dealing to me. That's like 3 hits to death. I have never died this fast to anything in Skyrim. This Falmer Skulker could probably solo a dragon. Thankfully, the next room has a giant person blender. These things are basically instant death, and I can keep it active forever, so every enemy is getting fed directly to it. Mercer is waiting for us at the end, having just pried out the eye of the Falmer. The way in was just blocked by a rock slide, and we're stuck here with a score to settle. A nice little touch is that Mercer uses invisibility in this fight, and the prior dungeon had about 3 detect life scrolls. He goes down without much trouble, and we pull the skeleton key from his cold, dead hands. But now we're trapped. The water is flooding in, and there's no way out. I imagine this scene is a little less harrowing if you're an Argonian and can sleep underwater. At the last minute, another rock slide reveals the way out, and we escape. Hurrah! Carlia leaves us the task of returning the skeleton key to the Twilight Sepulchre. Gallus greets us in the antechamber, dead, but still here in ghost form. He says that with the removal of the key, the Ebon Mirror has been cut off and Nocturnal's power over this realm is steadily weakening. It's up to us to put it back in its rightful place and bring back harmony? Natural order? Big titty goth GFs? One of those. Of course, the Ebonier is behind the Pilgrim's Path, a dungeon crawl through a suspiciously burial cavern-shaped temple. The Nightingale Sentinels are incredibly strong and will nuke me for existing, but thankfully, rather than sneaking past, I can just hoof it. This dark room is special. Light from these braziers will hurt you. So you have to find your way to the end through the darkness. Very thematic, not actually challenging. At this point, the poison-tipped blow darts from these traps doesn't do much more than give me a mild buzz. In the third chamber, we need to pay tribute to Nocturnal, which in this situation just means turning off the lights. And this dumbass apparently died of hunger before he could figure it out. Fourth chamber is just more pokey things. But you can actually skip all of that if you pick the master lock on the door. Which you cannot fail. You have the skeleton key. What were they thinking? I've previously stated that the skeleton key prevents getting lockpicking experience. That's not the case. It can bug and not give you experience, but not always, so I actually can't use it for this run. No big. This well is infamous for trapping players forever. You have to pick up and then read this guy's journal, but sometimes it just never progresses. Ah, finally. Aha! I have finally restored Big Titty Goth GFs to the land. Wood, by the way. As thanks for my service, I get to choose one major power, absolutely none of which are useful. One of them makes you invisible, but only while you're sneaking. Of course, returning luck to the guild isn't where our duties end. The fun part of the guild is over. Now we get to clean our room and finish our homework. Before we can be properly named Guildmaster, we need to expand the guild's influence across all 5 holds. Riften is auto-completed. That leaves Whiterun, Windhelm, Markarth, and Solitude. We have to complete 5 minor Radiant quests and then a capstone quest for each region. 24 quests in total. These jobs usually involve sneaking into a place, stealing something, placing something, or my personal favorite, which is forging documents. Numbers jobs, they're called. Just go to a location and press interact on a book. Doing this is illegal and it's usually trespassing, and if you're seen doing it, you will get a bounty. But here's the thing. We just need to press interact on these books. We don't need to not get caught doing it. The fine for getting caught forging a book is 100 gold, so you might think that this is a pocket check. Actually, no. The payout for this job is 100 gold. It's a zero-sum game. I can just forge all I want and no one can stop me. Even without sneaking, I only sometimes get caught because a lot of these are out of the way and almost none of them are behind locked doors. Post-production here. Before I routed this run, I checked YouTube for runs of this nature, specifically from JBN and Nurbit, and didn't see any. But now that I'm like 90% through making this video, I remembered that Imfa did the Thieves Guild without any theft. The reason I'd forgotten was because I watched it over 6 years ago. My god. Very similar run, not exactly the same. Kinda charming that he completely missed the existence of the Tower Standing Stone. I'd say you should watch his run after this run, but statistically, you already have.
That's all I am.
What are you doing, Sweat?
Whoa, buddy, hold the language, there are children in this game. I was planning to do all 20 numbers jobs in a row and then do the capstone quests, but when we unlock the first capstone quest, Delvin just locks up and won't talk about anything else. Skyrim NPCs get like this a lot, and I kinda hate it. First capstone quest is in Windhelm. An Altmer gang has been pegged as being responsible for the murder of a local and the theft of her jewelry. We're to talk to Naranya in the market. We put the screws to her and then have the options to persuade or intimidate. I choose option 3, the Morrowind maneuver. Legal murder by way of self-defense.
I should have come here.
Oh well, I'll have to run off.
Mother of God. Guess that's what you get for bringing Jello to the town potluck. A document on her person reveals that an Altmer gang is holed up just west of the city. So what else can you do but roll on in and kill the whole lot? They're high elves. No one will miss them. Altmer in Skyrim are no longer weak to magic and elemental spells, but after rubbing up against the Falmer for the last few hours, they sure as hell feel like they burn good. I leave the leader to Lydia to handle, and burn the rest in their beds. The second capstone quest is in Whiterun. The mission is simple, but the execution nigh impossible. We need to break into the most secure area of Castle Whiterun, into the personal chambers of the Jarl himself, and spirit away a letter of evidence, while also forging the ledger in our favor. Security will be absolutely everywhere. We're looking at the heist of the century. I have goosebumps. The third capstone quest is about planting evidence on a boat captain. We need to acquire some Balmora Blue, a moon sugar derivative narcotic. You can just buy the stuff for 1500 gold, but I know where it is and just use the Tower Standing Stone to steal it. After that, it's a simple matter of murdering our way through the captain's quarters and figuring out that Balmora is a food item, not a potion. Hey, Eriker, I planted that illicit evidence you wanted. You want to talk about it in full view of the court? Okay, so I only need to do a couple more missions for Markarth to get the last capstone quest. But this is where things get really screwy. The mission locations you are assigned is random and can be Whiterun, Windhelm, Riften, Solitude, or Markarth. When you get to the point of only needing one location, you have a 1 in 5 chance to pull the right one. And functionally every additional mission you need to complete becomes multiplied by 5, if you're playing fair. If you're given a job for the wrong location, you can just tell Delvin you quit and he'll give you a new one, but that takes like 30 seconds. To speed it up, you quick save after accepting the quest, but before the details hit your HUD, and I end up needing to do this like 8 times. The last capstone quest is just a dungeon run. There's no real subtlety here. Run through a bunch of caves, killing everyone along the way, and then retrieve a silver mold for Endon. Pine Watch is an absolutely enormous dungeon for what it is, bizarrely long for Skyrim. It also ends with this pleasantly arranged orgy of spoils, which unfortunately amounts to like 200 gold and a couple corundum ingots. With the mold handed in and the guild's influence spread to all corners of Skyrim, we're finally able to be handed the title of Guildmaster. We'll get paid dues regularly and can see Tanilia for a full suit of Guildmaster attire. Of course, Delvin cannot wait 5 seconds after the ceremony to start hitting on Vex.
So you're the new recruit, huh?
Bruh.
Well, looks like you and I are gonna have to get very well acquainted. You'll find Rasad with his caravan. Just don't do anything stupid when you get there.
Hey, careful!